Today I'm going to talk about kids who just love to eat up everybody's time. Now this isn't about the school. We've been talking about this daytime job that I have as an assistant language teacher. Now this is the evening job, the after school job where I'm teaching in an English conversation school of just a few kids where I actually own the school. Um, it's my evening job that I've basically run for the last 18 years or so. And these I got these kids. They're like third grade. Let's see, I got three girls in there. I've got a I got a third grade boy, so that makes four third graders, and then one special case. I have one sixth grade boy that's kind of in a different textbook. But they're supposed to study between 6 and 7 o'clock. And they come in at 6:03, 6:04, and they'll like walk over to my piano and start messing around with that, and it's like I got a schedule that I have to do. So I'm always telling one to sit down and one kid's falling off the chair. And I just got sick of it because I mean they take so much time. And one of the things I did is I I brought in my kitchen timer and I made my lesson plan. I timetabled it. I'm going to um, do a warm up song for about 3 minutes. Um, I'm going to do what they call the Aisatsu, which is basically a greetings and roll call type time, just asking the few silly questions. And then I'm going to do a review. Then I'm going to do the main topic of the lesson. And then I'm going to get them started on uh, the workbook or the grammar pattern that corresponds with whatever the main lesson was. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to have them perform little mini role plays, and then I'll be able to wrap things up, and then hopefully finish everything in 60 minutes. And I was finding out that every time I'd go through, um, I'd plan a 60-minute lesson, and at the end of 60 minutes, I'd get like 7 minutes of the lesson done. And it was like, excuse me. Okay. So I just brought my kitchen timer in, and I said, you're just going to sit your ass here, um, and we're just going to get through it all. And once I started the kitchen timer, they only were about 15 minutes behind schedule. We'd lose time here and there, but they would waste so much time. And I think that once you actually put a kitchen timer in front of them, it's not like a big threatening thing, but for some reason, they pay attention to that, and I actually got most of the lesson done. And, some of these kids, it gets really ridiculous. And I found out, as my own English school got smaller, that the smaller the class I had, the more problems I had. When I had 10 or 12 students in the class, it was not a problem. I would just say, hey, okay, everybody get your shit together and let's do it. But then you get 3 or 4 kids, and they think they own the place, you know, and they're just like all over the place. And, I don't like to be strict with the kids, because if I get too strict, they're not going to come to my school anymore. They don't come to my school anymore, I'm not going to have any enrollments, and I'm not going to have any income, and I'm not going to be able to live. And I'm trying to do what's right. Because there was like one little mean little girl would say something to a boy, and he'd start crying. And, and I tell you what, I thought, well, I'm obviously not making any progress. So, and I'm telling you, I got 20 years experience, so I'm going to be honest with you, I got problems too. I got problems in my class. Um, to the point where, I basically just lost it. I figured since I would be losing the money anyway because uh, people are going to get pissed off and quit, one person's mean to the other, and I constantly had to babysit them instead of doing what my plan was. I just sat him down, and I did this in Japanese, and I was like, "What is your problem? What are you here for?" And one little girl, she's just a snotty little girl. Now I hate to call a kid this, but I mean she's a little beat, man. And so I just handed her my cell phone. I said, "Call your mama. Call your mama right now." I said, "You don't have to be here. Call your mama, because I'm not going to put up with it. I'm done." And she didn't want to do it. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she got real quiet. Handed her the cell phone. It was no problem. And it was the following week that I said, "Okay, now people are going to behave. They know I'm serious." I brought my timer in, and they started doing it. And I think next week I'll probably get everything done at once. Basically what I have is one smart girl, one girl's a baby, one boy can't sit on his chair without falling off of it 3 times. One boy's on a different book because he's older, but I have to repeat the lesson for him every single week. And I have one little girl that's just sweet as ever, but she's just not very mature. And I have to constantly stand over her and say, "Oh, do this one. Oh, you finished number one." 10 minutes later, "Oh, let's go to number two." It's like, oh, jeez. So, it really gets on my nerves. So, I don't mind admitting, I have problems too. I used to have 150 students, but I moved to another town, and now I have less than 20. And, you know, the problems, they don't go away. But sometimes you do have to take action, because when you got kids that turn your classroom into a zoo, you're not going to make any money anyway, and you're just going to have a lot of stress. So yell at them. Fine, and if they don't like it and they quit, you're probably not losing anything, because obviously when people come to observe the lesson that are thinking about taking English, they're not going to behave then. They're going to actually act up more then. So um, sometimes it's best to get rid of them. But luckily, I didn't have to get rid of them. Now they're well behaved. Now they're just fine.